Mr. Speaker, will you please call the House to order?
The bill is passed.
And that's why I think that this legislation is an opportunity for us in this House.
Hi, I'm Robin Schimminger, Assemblyman Robin Schimminger. This show is called Assembly Update. Today I'm going to be chatting with a very special guest who's here in Albany. You know, every day in Albany is another group, another day. Today is Library Day in Albany, and that's a day very close to my heart. And we have today a special guest on the show who's up here in Albany lobbying, advocating for libraries. She comes from Western New York, from Grand Island, and she runs the Western New York Library Resources Council. So please, let's welcome Sheryl Knab to our show today.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to have you here. You were up in my local office just not too long ago.
Last week.
With a delegation of very fine library folks from Kenton and Grand Island and Riverside and so on.
Correct.
I think we even had the Army Corps of Engineers there. They've got a library.
They do.
And when you told me that you were going to be up here in Albany for Library Day, the idea came about, well, maybe you'd like to come on and be able to talk to a broader audience about why you're here and what is on your agenda. So before we get to that though, everybody knows a librarian. I think everybody's fond of their librarians.
We hope so.
I can remember one of the first grown-ups that I met as a kid was in the city of Tonawanda.
Great little library.
Great little library. When it was in the train station, the old train station, which is now the Historical Society building. And it was very near the post office. And in the summers, my dad, when he went back to the post office to sort some mail and punch out, he dropped off little Robbie, that was me, at the library, and I spent quality time with Marjorie Bellinger. And she gave me books to read and mentored me, and it was a very, very important thing in my life. And so I couldn't let this go by without mentioning Marjorie Bellinger. But tell me, first of all, about the Library Resources Council, and then a little bit about librarians in general. How about the council? What is the council?
The council, actually Western New York Library Resources Council, is one of 9 across the state. We are considered a library system, and we are funded 100% through state funds. So library aids support, that's what we're asking for today, advocating for library aid support. It funds us 100%, and what we do is we provide services to multi-type libraries. So I provide services to public library systems, school library systems, academic libraries, small archival agencies, corporate libraries, the museums, and hospital libraries. So what we do is facilitate collaboration and cooperation amongst all those types of libraries.
And does much collaboration actually go on?
Yes, it does. One of the things we bring to the table where the other libraries can't do on their own are the infrastructure issues, such as developing a platform for digital images, New York Heritage, creating a statewide virtual reference service, 24-hour service for New York State residents to get assistance with their information needs. We provide that as an infrastructure to our libraries. We also provide continuing education, and we also assist with some funding through grant funds and others to our academic libraries and all of our libraries, actually.
Yeah, and when you're up here today now, I assume that from other parts of the state there are your counterparts from the regional councils.
Yep, and their constituencies are here.
Yeah, and then the member libraries are here. So we've got up here today from Western New York more library folks than just you.
Correct.
There are others, and maybe not as many as were in my office back home last week or so, but I'm sure there's a pretty good contingent. And what is it that, in general, the libraries are advocating for? And I'll bet it's more money.
It is more money. Right now our funding levels are from 1997. We were at a high of $102 million in 2008. Through the cuts that happened after that, after 2008, we were reduced by 25%. So we're slowly trying to regain what we lost, and right now we're about $87 million.
You know, since that time, what was the year, 1997? Since that time, the amount of money we've spent, Albany has spent on aid to education, aid to the schools, has gone up
Yes.
by an immense amount.
Yes.
And it's really sad that the libraries, which are available to everybody, and kids use them, and adults use them, and people who are living their lives learning use them, we haven't been able to do more there.
That's right, and libraries are education. They are a part of that pillar of education. Libraries are a part of that, and we are under the state education budget, so it's unfortunate that we haven't received the same increases.
Yeah, I know that you had a chance to meet an old law school classmate of mine last night.
Yes,
Yeah.
and this morning.
And this morning, yeah. We, of course, in the Assembly have a committee on libraries, and the new chairman of it is one of my law school classmates who's up here now as a New York State Assemblyman, Tom Abenanti. So I hope to be a good teammate with Tom in advocating for libraries.
We're looking forward to that.
He and I have not had that conversation yet, but maybe when we're done with this show, we'll go up and let him know, and he'll maybe give me the blessing to go ahead.
Great, great. We could use a champion from Western New York.
Thank you, yeah. Now tell me, I never thought about becoming a librarian. I know other people that did pursue library studies. How does one, you go to school for it, right? You get a degree.
You need to get a master's degree.
Okay.
Usually you'll have your bachelor's degree, and then it's more training beyond that. You go to master's in library and information studies. University of Buffalo has a library school there. Also, Syracuse has the iSchool, so there are several in New York State to get your master's from. And you can do a couple of different tracks. You can go strictly school library media studies, which are school librarians, or you can specialize in one of the other types of libraries, academic, hospital.
And people with that training, they don't necessarily have to work in a public library or at the Library Resources Council.
No.
There are businesses that have libraries and law firms and so on. So there are a lot of opportunities.
Absolutely, and their skill set is transferable to many different disciplines. So you just don't have to work in a library with a library degree.
Got it, got it, got it. You know, there is and I know we talked about this last week, and so I'm going to bring it up because I know that it's very eye-opening. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, well, nowadays with the internet, people don't use libraries anymore. We don't need libraries because everything's on the internet. And Siena Research, a polling firm, did a poll among people in New York State back in, I think, beginning of this year.
Correct.
And why don't you tell me a little bit about what that poll among people in New York State found?
Well, I'm going to have to look at my notes, but...
well, it said.
It said the library usage is actually up 10% across the state. And a lot of that is to do with the economic times we're in. People are looking for jobs. People are applying for jobs online. They have to do it online. Some of the firms require it. They're applying for some social services. They are redoing their resumes. They're going back to school. There are many, many reasons for it. A lot of it is also that they need access to the internet. They can only get it in the library because they don't have it at home.
Yeah, and the libraries are great levelers and equalizers.
That's right.
And you don't have to be a millionaire or a billionaire or rich to go to the library. Anybody can go to the library. You don't even have to be a citizen to go to the library.
That's right.
Just go in there, use the library, read a book, use the internet, and the librarian will help you, right?
That's
Doesn't
correct.
the librarian help people?
We are very customer focused, yes.
So that, yeah.
And there's more to the library than books. I mean, obviously we have them, but we also have audiobooks and e-books that you can download right to your device from home. We also have programming, children's hours, that's at the public library. But even in the academic libraries, they provide different services that are other than just research needs and pleasure reading.
Let's go back to your council.
Yes.
And give me some because most people don't think about this, but they think about the books that are available at, the Kenmore branch or the Tonawanda Library or the Grand Island Library.
Right, the public libraries.
Right. But there is also accessibility to other information outside of the Buffalo and Erie County Library System, right?
Correct.
How does that work? If I need some really obscure information, how would I go about getting that? That's not right in the Buffalo and Erie County system.
What you can do is when you talk to the librarian there, they will look elsewhere for information that they can get for you delivered right to your public library. So for example, if there's a book that University of Buffalo or Canisius College has, they will request it through interlibrary loan and have it delivered right to their branch for you. That's one way to do it. Another is some of the databases are only available at some of the libraries, and they're very expensive databases. They can provide, give you access either through a phone call or if you are at another academic institution, all you need to do is show up with your own library ID and you can get access to their resources and research materials.
And how available are the library materials in like the more private sector, the more corporate, because we had, for example, I know it's not private, but the Army Corps guy was
Yes.
there at our meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Do they share?
Yes.
They do?
Yes, they may not allow you to go in because it might be secured facility, but you can make an appointment with the librarian and they can certainly assist you, whether it's remotely or on site.
Yeah, that's great. So the staff that you have, the staff is just you, right?
No, I have several staff members. I have 9 others that work with me. Some are in their specialty, such as they work with the hospital libraries. That's their
that too,
specialty.
the hospital
Yes,
libraries,
the hospital
yeah.
libraries. Yes, we provide on-site services, providing library services, or grant funds to some of the larger institutions like Roswell and Buffalo General.
And these libraries are for use by the medical staff to research?
Correct. The physicians and nurses, and sometimes they'll provide some patient care help assistance as well, some consumer information.
That's great. That's great. And now, what inspired you, this is a personal question.
Okay.
What inspired you to get into libraries?
Actually, my sister-in-law. She was teaching at Niagara County Community College. Mm-hmm. And I had already graduated with my college degree, had 2 children, wasn't sure what I was going to do, and she was looking at getting her own master's in library and information studies. And I said, that sounds like a really interesting field, and that's what I did. Unfortunately, she didn't, but I did.
You know, it strikes me that this is the knowledge age now and the information age, and whereas people might think, well, library studies, that's not, but it's a place where there's going to be continued growth, don't you think? Information?
Well, information, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
There's more information out there now than people know what to do with. And when they are researching on their own or searching for information, they're inundated mm-hmm. with it. And it helps to have someone that knows how to navigate that information. That's where librarians come in. Yes, we are producing more information every minute than I think they did at all of 1800s. It's just an amazing amount.
Yeah. Thank God for librarians.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
It's a wonderful thing. Well, I want to thank you very much for taking out the time. I know it's a busy day. You've got a lot of meetings.
I do.
Maybe when we're done, we'll go up and visit with Mr. Robinanti.
Absolutely.
And reconnect a little bit. So this has been great. Thank you very, very, very much for doing this.
Well, thank you for having me. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you all for watching. This has been Assembly Update. I'm New York State Assemblyman Robin Schimminger, joined by my very special guest, Sheryl Knab, who is the Executive Director of the Western New York Library Resources Council. Thank you all for watching.